Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dames en heren, jongens en meisjes, good afternoon. It's May the 4th and it's a special day in Europe. We have a series of broadcastings today from the Storyteller, and it will be done in English, and I first will do the first minute for my Dutch speakers, and this is of an international character, so please bear with me. I come back to the English version in about a minute from now. Lieve dames en heren, jongens en meisjes, fijn dat jullie er zijn. Het is 4 mei, het is een hele bijzondere dag in Nederland. Het is de herinnering van de Tweede Wereldoorlog en vooral al degenen die daar zijn gevallen voor onze vrede en veiligheid van vandaag de dag. De komende uren gaan we daar speciale aandacht aan besteden met vertellingen en ook met vliegen. We gaan een unieke vlucht maken en je kan dat meemaken, want de camera's gaan aan boord mee. Live video via Facebook kan je dat meemaken. Ik doe het ook in het Engels, ik doe het voornamelijk in het Engels. Om 5 uur doe ik een speciale vertelling voor kinderen in het Nederlands, om 5 uur Nederlandse tijd. Speciaal de Storyteller Show, ook in dit karakter. En ik ga nu naar het Engels, want we hebben heel veel Engelse kijkers. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, once more, good afternoon. It's 4 o'clock in the Netherlands, in Europe, and it's 75 years ago that Europe was liberated by the Allies, by the Americans, the Canadians, and the Allies. And this is a very special day in Holland, and we are near an airplane that's going to play a role, that played a role at that time and going to play a role today as well, to commemorate those that gave the final price for our liberty and freedom of today. I've just said something in Dutch. We have international visitors, and at 5 o'clock, that's in an hour from now, I do the Storyteller Special Kids Show, and that will be done in Dutch for the Dutch kids, so that's in Dutch. At 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, I'll talk about Amsterdam time. We have special broadcast, and at 6:40 we're about to leave with this airplane. This airplane was built in 1943 as a batch of airplanes built by Boeing. 10,500 of these airplanes were built. And now it's 2020, and so many years later, this airplane is still here. Now it's a Boeing Stearman, made at that time for the US Navy to train pilots, again, that fought later a war and to fight big parts of the world. And I want to give you a few words about the airplane, where it came from and what it is doing now. Now it's been in my possession for about 30 years, and it's more like a child, it's part of the family. So how can you own an airplane if it's part of the family? And about 15 years ago we gave this airplane a major overhaul, and we found, I have it here, I will show you later, we found something very special inside the airplane that I will show you. A little bit more about the history of this airplane that's going to fly today, and you will be able to follow the flight online via Facebook. We have cameras on board, and streaming via Facebook, you will be able to follow the flight over the central part, the southern middle part of the Netherlands. This airplane was built as a trainer plane for the US, Canadian, and the Allied pilots. And about 80% of all the pilots on the Allied side, they trained in a Boeing Stearman biplane. And here is an example of that. It's serial number 75-7213, 7213. This is the 7,213 example that were built in the Boeing factory in Wichita, Kansas. And like cats, they have many lives. Airplanes have also many lives. The airplane is an old soldier, and I'll show you in some minutes, what old soldiers can do. Now, today is also the famous story of how can you make from a sword to fight, how can you make from a sword, how can you make that into a plow to use on the agricultural business to make food, how can you make a sword into a plow. And when we overhauled the airplane 15 years ago, this was our thinking, how can we make the airplane from an old soldier, never die, into an airplane that sparks the magic of flying, which is for me the same as the magic of living. I'll show you something of the history of this airplane. 1 second, I'll turn around the camera. One second. All right, here we go. Now, when we opened up the airplane, and we opened up the wings, we found this in the wing. I hope you can see it. Here it is. This is a type plate of the airplane, of the wing. And if you look correctly, you can see the year there, the year 42. And probably 8 is 8 August 42. So the wings which we opened about 15 years ago, they were made in August 42. You see different stamps on it, because people that made it had a stamp, and people that inspected the part had a stamp. Here you see 75, and then a number. 75 means it's the type, it's the Boeing Stearman, that's a type, and then a serial number, it's so many wings were built. So this is what we found in the airplane. We have 1, we have 2, and we have 3. We have the type plates of that time. This is from the left hand lower wing. Another thing is this, you know, we removed the old clothing, and this is part of the old fabric that was on the airplane, that was put on the airplane, I think we in 1960 somewhere. And we removed this part, and this has been in the air for many, many years, part of the airplane. Well, let me show you one more thing. So here's the airplane one more time, and we're going to fly with it in some hours. And we made it from an old soldier into an airplane that wants to spread the magic of flying. And we were thinking now, and that's today and tomorrow, very important in Europe, it's liberation of our countries. This is the history of the airplane, delivered in 1943, and finally it came into my hands in the 1990s and rebuilt for the Storyteller. That's then my name. 2007. And now look here, what we said, well, we want to dedicate the airplane to something special. I hope you can read this. You know, this is the old crow, is dedicated to people of all times and nations who strive for world peace. The old crow is dedicated to people of all times and nations who strive for world peace. So with this intention, we want to show that you know, peace and liberty can be made, and sometimes you have to make it with giving the final prize. And if you do it correctly, together, you can make peace and enduring peace. And the airplane is a living, it's flying, it's living, it's breathing, it's alive example that peace can be made by humanity. I want you to show you something else, because we fly with people from all over the world in the airplane as passenger, and we have a special logbook. You know, here's a passenger logbook. Everybody that has flown in the airplane has made a story, wrote a story. This is from 2016, and we started with doing this initiative in 1992. So we have here I am back again. We have all the stories of passengers that flew in the airplane from 1992. They wrote something in it, and 2 of them are very special today. One, I met. I hope he's still alive. I met a gunner of a B-24 Liberators 20 years ago in England, and we took him up in the airplane. And his name is a very nice, sweet man, Wilbur Richardson, and he lives in California. And he wrote something in the book. And I want to tell you another story of Monsieur André. I was with this airplane in 2004 in France, in the southern part of France, in Bergerac. And then I landed the airplane, and there was a gentleman, a little bit older gentleman with a stick. He came walking to me, and he taught me a lesson. I tell you the lesson. He came to me, and he said in French to me, oh, bonjour, bonjour, ça va, bonjour, bonjour. We shake hands in France, bonjour, ça va, très bien, bonjour. And he said, c'est un Stearman? Is this a Stearman? I said, yes, sir, this is a Stearman. And I told him the story. You know, this airplane was made in the 1940s. It used to train Allied and US pilots to liberate the world. And then he stopped my talking. He said, Hans, his name was André. He said, well, in French, he said, I was one of those pilots. Monsieur André. He said, oui, I was one of those pilots. I flew Stearmans in the Second World War, and I was trained to fly P-47s over Europe, big Thunderbolt, big single seat, big huge airplanes, and I haven't been with the airplane since then, and it's been a long time ago. So it's my nest, my cradle of flying. The airplane taught me how to fly an airplane, and I'm still flying with my daughter. We still fly small airplanes. And I haven't seen the airplane for a long time. Okay, Monsieur André, now we go flying. Bien sûr. And he stepped into the front cockpit. And we went up into the air. And it was about 200 feet in the air. And he started slapping on his head. And you need to remember, at that time there was no electronic communication. He was slapping on his head. And I think, well, what does he mean? He's slapping on... I was flying the airplane. And he was doing like this on his head. And then he suddenly took over the control of the airplane. Oh, Monsieur André, what are you doing here? And he was flying the airplane, and after 1 minute he said, and he pointed to me. And I finally got the signal from that, the messages that at that time no electronic communication. So whoever is hitting on his head in the airplane, 2 seats, is flying the airplane. So we landed, and Monsieur André, he gave me a hug, and half an hour he came back with a big bottle of beautiful red French wine. So this is history in the making. And for boys and girls, if you look at here, now people pay to find a prize. And now we are in a liberal world. You can do almost whatever you want. And we need to remember that of these days. And we need to remember also that people not from our country came to our country to liberate us. How about that? The big question is, the big question, I don't have the answer. Would you do the same? Would you do the same for your family? Would you do the same for your friends? Would you do the same for your village, for your country? And would you do it for another country you've never been before? That's a big question. I don't have the answer. Think about it these days. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to fly in some hours, and once more, you will be able to follow the flight on the Facebook account of the Storyteller. We will be airborne at New York time 1 p.m. In 20 minutes to 1, we will start the engines and we go flying. So I invite you to come back at that time, already at 5 o'clock, for the Dutch version of the Storyteller for the kids, and then enjoy it. It's a Facebook live streaming, so it's sometimes a little bit wobbly, the message, and I hope we go more for quantity and then for quality of the picture. So I like to conclude the message here, and I wish you a good day, and we talk to each other again a little bit later. Thank you.